And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the podcast, and good evening to you. Good evening to all of our live viewers here. I was trying to hit my button there. Our live viewing audience, proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you're taking in your podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the show. Leave us a positive comment, leave us a question, and certainly jump in tonight with today's guest, Superintendent Dr. Richard Ramos, Miami, but not Miami, Florida, Miami, Arizona. Beautiful community there. And we're going to talk to Richard. It's his hometown. He served in Phoenix as a school leader, a variety of roles for many years, and now he's superintendent in his hometown. I love to hear that, and I'd love to hear those leaders that have gone different places but come back home. So we are going to meet Dr. Richard Ramos in just a moment. A quick word from tonight's sponsor, IXL.
I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast.
All right. Thank you for that. And again, thank you to IXL. It is April 23rd, 2025. It is Administrative Professionals Day, formerly known as Clericals Day or Administrative Assistants Day. It's the secretaries and the clericals in our schools, and certainly a shout out to all of those men and women serving in those roles in school. I have been blessed to have worked with some tremendous administrative assistants, and I've learned from them. I've learned a lot from them. You know, if I'm considered the boss, well, I've learned more from them than they have from me. I've learned patience. I've learned grace. I've learned ownership of mistakes. I've learned a give and take, right? How do they work best? How do they know I work best? Learning from one another. But really, it comes back to service, serving our districts in a variety of roles. So a shout out to all of the administrative assistants in schools today. They do a tremendous job. And I wrote here in my book many years ago, the principle, treat your secretary like gold. That's when we could say secretary. I don't know if that's politically correct anymore. I don't know. But treat your secretary like gold. My secretary at that time, Renee Nicolette, true savior. But I talked about that. Don't neglect the one who takes care of you. And it's not just on Administrative Professionals Day. It's all the time. It's listening to them, making sure they are being taken care of as they take care of you. Enough of me chatting. If you're watching the show live, jump in and say hello. But enough of me chatting. Let's meet today's guest from Miami, Arizona, Dr. Richard Ramos. Doctor, welcome to the podcast.
Andrew, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciated meeting you, keeping in touch with you, and certainly seeing the work you're doing at Miami. Richard, let me start there. When you say, hey, I'm in Miami, do people right away think you're coming from Florida?
You know, everybody thinks that it's Florida, and they also, because they've either been there or, did some type of travel to Miami, they're always telling me that they know all about Miami and this is where they've been and these are the sites that they've seen. And I always have to bring them back and say, well, this is a different type of Miami because this is rural Arizona. And I bet you didn't know there was an Arizona Miami. And so people oftentimes, but always come up. It's a point of conversation all of the time.
Yeah. Well, tell us about Miami of Arizona. You're the superintendent there. You're finishing your first year. You grew up in the sister community, neighboring community. So this is your hometown. Tell us about Miami, Arizona.
Well, it's a beautiful community. And first and foremost, I just want to let everybody know that I represent some of the best kids in all of the world. And so that's why I'm back. I actually spent 27 years in Phoenix, Arizona, where I did most of my administrative and also teaching experience. And so it has always been my dream to come back to my hometown and give back to my community, especially because the kids look just like me. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of diversity here. And I happen to be Latino, and 65% of the community also happens to be Latino. And if I could identify with the kids and let them know that, hey, because I've worked hard and I've applied myself and given a whole lot of effort, and I can be successful and I look like you, let that be a model so that way you too know that you're going to have the support in order to achieve whatever your dreams happen to be. And so it was really important for me to come back home. And one of the things I want to say that I'm so proud of in this community is it's a copper mining community here. And so we make so much of the world's copper in this small town community of about 6,000 people. And the industry right across the street makes something like $2 billion over the course of the year because of the copper they produce. So I've always walked away from my hometown being really prideful of the copper mining community, but to come back home and know that I'm in conversation with them about working on partnerships and really how do we work together so that way the Miami Unified School District is producing the pipeline to the careers in your industry. And so we're really having some incredible conversation about what that might look like, sound like, and feel like.
Wow, beautiful. And I didn't know that. It's very cool to learn that. And I know you were excited. We spoke off air. You just had a major student-led business event where you connected your students with the business leaders. Tell me about that event. I know you were so proud of it.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's been really important to me is to build leadership here in the school district. And so we've tried a variety of things and we continue to keep them going. Everything is a common thread here. And that common thread happens to be, what do we do in order for our students to become confident, to have a growth mindset, and for them to really have a sense of agency? And so I think we've reached a point where our kids are feeling much more confident. And we had a business partner cafe in March, and 80 business partners showed up. And the way it was set up is the kids shared presentations on their career and technical education programs that they're taking here. So everyone from the culinary team to the construction program to the Future Farmers of America, they got up and they shared a little bit about their program in a 5 to 10 minute presentation. In addition to that, we set up table conversations where facilitators were students, and they asked questions like, what do you think of that? What is the impact on our community? What can we do to improve our program so that way our students are competitive once they get into the job market here? And so the conversations at the table were so rich that we also had the students share out summaries. What were some of those conversations that were happening at the table, share out to the audience at large so that way we can learn from each other, and also just network and learn who's in the room and where are the resources in the community. In addition to that, our culinary team, they worked with the Future Farmers of America to prepare some of our very own animals. They processed them here and they made a lunch for the day. And so it was a real cyclical process. Everything that we do, our students through the Future Farmers of America are raising livestock. And so they process that livestock to use it in the lunch. And then they prepared the meal to serve at this business partner cafe. So the students did completely everything. They cooked, they presented, they facilitated, and they summarized. And it was the first time ever that I could step away as a superintendent and I didn't have any part in it. And it was completely student-led. So those are the types of events that are happening where we're really, truly focusing on students and making sure that they are the spokesperson or the sports, I guess I should say spokespeople for their school.
Wow. Very cool idea, Dr. Ramos. And so nice to hear you speak so highly of it. How was the food? Did you get to eat?
Well, once we told the community that they were eating processed goat, people were like, "Are you serious? It tasted so good! Like, oh my God, that curry was delicious." And it was like, yeah, the kids did a phenomenal job. And one of the things that's really important is that we do everything in a very humane way. And so we don't like waste anything. And the kids actually shared the experience with the adults, and everybody had a true appreciation for the whole experience that we had.
Awesome. Beautiful. I was fortunate to meet Dr. Ramos at the Arizona Rural Schools Conference. I was there early. I was getting set up, and I see this gentleman come right up to the front. He was off to the side a little bit, but right up front. And people were relaxed. People were in jeans and maybe a polo. And then I see this guy in a suit, sharp tie, and I was like, whoa. I said, this guy must be somebody. Let me go introduce myself. And I walk up, and he said, I'm the superintendent of Miami schools. Bam. And you shook my hand, Richard, and there was a glow. There was an energy about you. And I was like, wow. And I referenced you multiple times during the talk, and now here we are. But you had such a positive energy, and you had such a pride to say, I'm the superintendent in Miami. So my question is that something that you do intentionally, Richard, about dressing the part, acting the part, being the part? Because you certainly made a great first impression on me when I met you, a memorable one. So is that something you do intentionally, or is it just the person you are?
Yeah. So everything I do is really intentional. And I think I shared a little bit of that in the very beginning. I represent the best students in the world. And so I have to dress the part. I am a model of who they are. They're an extension of me, and I'm an extension of them. And so I want kids to recognize, if you're really going to step up to the plate and you're going to be something and you're going to be someone, then you need to do that in your entirety. And so I always, no matter what, I always dress in a way that I want to conduct business, and I want to do it at the highest level. Why? Because it's important for my kids to have the best. I want them to have the best, so that way they know what they have at their fingertips, and they can go out and explore. And if they apply themselves, they can have anything that they want, and they have to feel it. They have to dress that way, so that way they know that it's possible.
Yeah. Well, and it started you standing out, but then you became part of the presentation, and it was just great. But you had certainly a positive energy there also. So good for you for doing that. I know you have some events tonight, but you still got the suit coat on.
Hey, we do have a few events tonight, and this is the part I thrive on. We're coming toward the end of the school year. And so many events are happening, from tennis. I just happen to come from the tennis courts as well as the track stadium, because our kids are in competition tonight in both of those. And because these are the last track meets and tennis meets, it's really important for me to go and just show up, so that way they know that I support them and I'm standing behind them. So I just came from there to do this podcast. After this podcast, I have 2 more events, and I'm so excited about them. But our kindergartners tonight are going to sign contracts to go to kindergarten for the first time. So we have an actual kindergarten signing party where they hold pen in hand and they look at their contracts and they put their name on that dotted line, because we want them to make a commitment to education. We think that's so important to start while they're young, and they recognize, hey, you know what? You signed on to the start of your educational career right here in the small town of Miami, Arizona, but you're doing big things. It doesn't matter where you come from, you're doing big things. And so we want kids to feel that tonight. So we're going to celebrate them. And then after that, one of the things that I am just so excited that we have partnered with Arizona State University. They're coming from Tempe tonight, and they've done this over the last 4 weeks. But every week they come for a total of 8 weeks, and they teach our community, especially our parents, about what it is like to prepare a student for college, starting from as early as kindergarten and moving all the way over to 12th grade. And so they talk about what it takes in order for savings to occur, in order for parents to start looking into FAFSA and applying for financial aid, where to look for scholarships, how important it is to keep a portfolio for kids and to keep track of the GPA so that way the kids qualify for scholarships and college entry. And so I'm pretty excited about that because when we educate our community, they will now have the tools in order to put them into practice to support their children to move on to higher ed. So I'm really, really excited about both of those programs tonight. I'll make an appearance at both, and both are equally important.
So after school, let me just get this straight. So after school, track meet, tennis match, podcast, kindergarten signing, and a college sponsored event for your whole district there. And that's just after school.
It's after school.
Okay.
But
Wow.
those are the best times because I get to have like the informal conversations and build relationships with parents. And that is so critical in order for that type of engagement to happen. You know, they feel comfortable seeing me, asking me questions that they might not ask during the school day because either they're busy with work or I'm busy like engaging with the community at the school. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. It's my way of like being informal and showing support and standing next to them.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear this, Dr. Ramos. If you're watching live, jump in and say hello to Richard and ask him a question on his leadership. Richard, you have events into the night. Let me take you back to the morning. All great leaders have excellent morning routines. Some are really early, some are exercising early, some are reading early. Tell me about some of your morning management things that help you be the leader that you are.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so important. So one of the things that's really critical to me is the routine of going to bed early. I go to bed like really early, and I know this is going to be surprising to a lot of people, but I go to bed like 7:30, 8 o'clock every night. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because I generally wake up in the morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I like, of course, I'm one of those people that needs to have breakfast right away. And in addition to that, I eat really healthily. That's really, really critical. So usually it's oatmeal and fruit that I will eat in the morning and maybe a couple of hard-boiled eggs. Really, really critical for the protein. And then I do work out in the morning before school starts. So that way I'm ready physically, mentally prepared because the school day is pretty intense. You know, I'm always doing something and always working, and there's always something else that I could do in order to support the students in the learning community. Today, I had an awesome opportunity to walk the hallways at our elementary school. In addition to that, I had the opportunity to read to first graders, 2 different classes. I read a book on flash floods because this is the time of year where, you know, we need to like be sharing with our kids that monsoon season is coming and that just because it's dry here doesn't mean that we can't have a flash flood. And so just kind of like creating some sense of awareness, but always when I'm in the classroom and engaging with children, it really grounds me and helps me stay connected to what is happening in the classroom. I always have to remember that I'm a teacher first, and I need to recognize that significance because my teachers need the support and the encouragement because it's a difficult day and time and age, especially you know, in our current environment.
Yeah. 3 a.m. And that's Monday through Friday. On the weekends, are you sleeping in a little?
You know what? It's part of a routine. Like I'm up early during the weekends as well. You know, maybe not 3 o'clock, you know, but I am up early just because I'm an early riser and it's a part of the process. And so
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm not up when there's daylight, that I'm missing something.
Wow. You know, my friends on the West Coast, I used to have to wait till about 10 o'clock to text them. Now I know I can text you at 6 a.m. here and you'll be up.
And you'll get a text right back.
You guys grinding. I love it. Well, let's now you've started your day. Now you're in school, Richard. I had mentioned that it's Administrative Professionals Day. Do you meet with your administrative professional first thing in the morning, review your calendar? Tell me about that dynamic relationship with your, clerical there in your office, and what does that look like?
Well, first and foremost, that's probably the most important person in the organization. And let me just share why. That person runs my life. And so I have complete trust in her, and she has complete control of my calendar in addition to my email. And the reason for that is because I want her to go ahead and weed through the things that I do not need to read, that she could read for me and she could brief, and then only highlight the things that are most important, because I get thousands of emails over the course of a week, and I need to go ahead and hone in on those emails that are important, especially if I need to make contact with students, parents, or teachers. Like, those are the most important things to make note of. In addition to that, we meet on a daily basis, and it's usually anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. But people don't recognize there's just an ongoing agenda that you have to have. And first and foremost, we have to look at the calendar together to see if there's anything that intersects with something else. And, what is it that we could do to open up some time? Because there might be some things that need to be plugged in later. Like, for example, if a parent comes into the office and wants to have a conversation about something really urgent, can we supplement that in some way and put it into the calendar and sacrifice something else? So we have those conversations that are really, really critical. In addition to that, we talk about, like, any phone calls that were made that I might need to pay attention to, so that way she can leave them with me. We have conversations about big events that are upcoming. You talked about the Business Partner Cafe. Like, that's a whole planning process. And so we have to have an agenda. In addition to that, we have to have a keynote presentation, so that way we can, like, stay on track and stay within a time frame. But all of that takes planning. In addition, we have to have all of the materials and resources. And so she's so instrumental in getting those things ready behind the scenes in order for us to put on an event like that. We're so sophisticated with each other, we could probably look at each other and understand what one another is saying now. And then this is how critical her job is. She recognizes time. And when I'm in a meeting and she knows I need to be somewhere else in 3 to 5 minutes, she comes and she gives me a knock on my door. So she just simply knocks, tap, tap, tap. And then she says, hey, she points to her watch on her wrist and says, you have 3 minutes to bring this meeting to a close, and then you need to be standing in this next room in front of students. So I just wanted to let you know he has to leave soon. And it's just really, really that. It's like,
I love it.
and so we have that relationship, though. And I just want to say that person is so, so critical. And you better believe that we're celebrating her not only today, but we're celebrating her tomorrow as well. Today was a gift card. Tomorrow it's breakfast and flowers. So that's how critical that person happens to be.
Yeah. Wow, really awesome. Well, and tell her I appreciate her sorting through my emails. Richard tweaked this podcast 2 different times because I had stuff come up. So tell her I appreciate her flexibility in making this happen on your end. So thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll make sure I give her a big thank you tomorrow.
Absolutely. This is great, Richard. I'm really learning a lot into your leadership there. So it certainly sounds organization for you is really important. Give me a couple hacks, 1 or 2 really kind of key things that you do to make sure you're staying organized.
Well, I think to make sure that I stay organized, first and foremost, I have to follow the lead. I have to have trust. I have to, of course, have a distributive leadership style and trust the people around me. So not only do I have an amazing administrative assistant, I also have an amazing business manager, because she has to take care of all of the budgeting and the funding, and that includes like grants as well, both state and federal. So like I have to have a lot of trust in her, and she also tells me what we can and can't do. It might be on an informal level, but she keeps me so organized, so that way I don't inflate something so far that I could really hurt the district. And so we have an HR technician that I also have to trust greatly in the office. If I tell her that I would like to recommend two people for a job and I push them both forward, like it's her responsibility to go ahead and check on, what does the background check look like? What do the references look like? And if she tells me, no, this person can't do that, then I have to be trusting enough to say, okay, the job has been done thoroughly. And everybody coming together and working collaboratively helps keep the front office organized. It's just really, really critical. I live by my calendar, and everything that is in my calendar, I do to almost the exact minute, just because I know that how critical that happens to be from one place to another. And if I don't get there on time, I'm shortchanging somebody. So there's a lot of value that I have, but I'm going to tell you what keeps the whole organization organized and on track. We spent my whole first year here. I served as the director of innovation and learning last year. And my only goal was to get this district a strategic plan. And so I went to work on a 5-year plan with the team. Believe me, I did not do this myself. I helped people with finding articles to research and what do districts do for best practices. We read articles and we extracted the most important information from those articles, and we landed on some school goals, as a district, so that way we could be organized in a way we have a guide for 4 years to reach that North Star. So we only focus on 4 things, and then there's performance indicators and proposed action. But those 4 things happen to be, it's always got to be about quality academics first. Second is a collaborative culture is really important, because we need to really understand the significance of communication, especially with each other and all stakeholders. And then third, we need to promote safe and innovative learning environments, because if we're not getting our kids ready for the 21st century and the skills that they need in a safe environment, then we need to really reflect and examine who we are. And then finally, community engagement is really important, because we cannot do it without our parents. They're the first teacher in the lives of kids. And then next, our community happens to be really important, because they need to know what we're doing, because they're our voice in the community. They can tell other people. And like Malcolm Gladwell says from his research, that word of mouth is still the greatest form of advertisement. No matter what engine that you use, word of mouth is still that number one source. So the strategic plan was done in 6 months. I couldn't believe it, how fast this organization moved. But when you're really tapping into your human capital and making use of every voice, we were able to get it done in 6 months, and we live by that guide in order to reach our goals in the district. And so that is a real huge piece for organization purposes.
Well said, my friend. That's excellent. Really, really great to hear. You referenced Malcolm Gladwell, Richard. I know you're a big reader. Tell me what you're reading now, and how is it helping you as a leader?
Well, I'm reading a book on Khan Academy right now, because Khan Academy has Khan Amigo now, and it's an AI source that can really help students with questions that they might have in order to get AI is so sophisticated now, it can tutor kids and support them with tutoring. Let's just go ahead and put this fact out there. Nothing is ever going to replace a teacher, because teacher is going to always move the needle in student achievement. But when a teacher is not around, and that next source can be something like Khan Amigo, you go ahead and use those resources in order for students to interact and get some feedback in real time. And that's the direction that AI is going. So I'm really learning about that source and how to support teachers in using tools in artificial intelligence. That's really important to me right now. Yeah. But the whole entire district just read a book. We did a book study, and we took a chapter a month and really dissected each section of the chapter. And we did a book study on Carol Dweck's work. So I'm just coming off of that, because in April, we did the final chapter 8, and it's on Carol Dweck's work in Mindset, a New Psychology for Success. But our teachers really did some reflection, and it was mostly on self-reflection. am I doing the right things to build the right mindset for kids? Am I really focusing on the process it takes in order to problem solve instead of the intellect and intelligence? Because if you're focusing on the process, you recognize that kids will fail and it's okay to fail, but you teach them to be resilient so that that way they recognize that it's effort, dedication, and hard work that wins the prize rather than you being smart or you having the ability. Does that make sense? Because if you label kids, they'll do everything to preserve that label. But when they recognize it's really about the effort and the hard work that you put into it, then they will recognize that I can get better at something if I practice. So
Well,
that book was really, really huge. And to get to the end after starting back in like July on chapter 1, and then here we are in April on chapter 8, it was very rewarding. It was like a big win for our whole entire teaching community.
awesome. And again, modeling that all leaders are readers, and
Yeah.
he's even in the library part of his office there, so it looks good.
It's been really incredible. I have to say that I feel pretty fortunate in this lifetime just because I've had a pretty incredible career, but I've had incredible leaders to watch and to follow. And I feel like because I've had great leadership, my first year in the superintendency was successful because I had the opportunity to replicate a lot of their behaviors, a lot of the things that they articulated. Like I studied them for a really long time and I was able to understand how to execute some of the things that they did. And so I just want to give a shout out to all those people that have mentored me along the way and helped me find that level of success in my first year.
Awesome. Congratulations, Richard. Maybe they're watching live. If you are watching, jump in and leave Richard a comment. Richard, you are coming up at the end of school here from your first year as superintendent there in Miami, Arizona. You mentioned about taking care of yourself along the journey here. But what are some things that you're gonna do this summer to sharpen your saw, to continue to take care of yourself on the journey? What are some things that you'll do health-wise this summer?
Yeah, so health-wise, I think it's really important to travel and to see other parts of the world. There's always something to learn from another area, another culture. And so one of the things that I do to escape completely, and I really get into like a meditative state. But I happened to be at the right place at the right time in 2019, and everything's numbers seemed to align and everything. And I bought a house in Santa Marta, Colombia, the country of Colombia. And so I did that, like I said, because I happened to be at the right place at the right time, took a chance. And over the course of time, I worked extra jobs here and there in order to did some contract work in order to pay it off. And so I go there as a retreat and I really had the opportunity to visit like coffee plantations in the jungle. I also had the opportunity to go to hot springs and really just sit in the warm water and meditate. In addition to that, there's some great hiking trails as well as, running pathways. But I really take time for myself and reflect on my performance in order for me to goal set and figure out what am I going to do to take it to another level in the upcoming school year. And so I'm really looking forward to that this coming June because it's been a lot of hard work. It's been intense, but it's also been rewarding. And I'm going to go ahead and take that week and a half away from the school district, unplug, and then go ahead and retool. Does that make sense?
Wow, good for you. That's awesome. So you've had the house 5-6 years now.
Yeah, I've had the house for 6 years now. And for me, I've also started to network down there. So I have a base of friends as well. I go about 3 or 4 times a year, but it really gives me the opportunity to create that sense of balance for myself. It really grounds me, and it also makes me recognize that there are other parts of the world that that need that needs support, and that they also they're in a state of being, and that's okay, and that it gives me a better understanding for humanity, a better understanding for other ways of life. And so I really enjoy that because it keeps me grounded.
Is it cooler in June there? Is it not as hot, or is it?
Never
It's always
changes.
hot.
It never changes. It's always like around 85 to 87, 88 degrees because it's near the equator.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's cool. That's cool for you.
yeah. So for me, coming from Phoenix, where it's like 115 during the summer,
Yeah.
and even here it gets up to like 110. That is a cooler climate.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
You do get the humidity, though. You get the
Oh
humidity.
yeah. It helps with the coffee there.
Yeah.
What is something, Richard, you wanted to talk about that I did not ask you?
Well, I just wanted to share with you that really there's so much to this job that it takes, and I just really want to let people know that it's all in the relationships that you build. That's where everything needs to stem from, is relationship. And I just want to tell people out there, it's not something that comes natural. Everybody thinks, oh, well, you're just a natural. You build relationships, it's so simple and easy. No, it actually has taken work. And I'm going to just relinquish 3 strategies that I use. And I use these strategies and you will never know that I'm using them. But I think it's really important to personalize your relationship with people. And if you know of a nickname that they're called, use it. But I use nicknames, or I shorten people's names, but I make sure it's okay with them first in order for me to personalize that. And another thing that I do, and it's just so natural now, is I notice statements. Like, when you came on today, I noticed you had a black shirt. I noticed there was red letters on your shirt. I noticed you were wearing AirPods. All of these things, I say those on occasion, hey, I noticed you're wearing a black shirt today. And without even recognizing, that's not even a compliment, people say thank you. Because we don't go around noticing things about people. But I notice earrings, I notice glasses, I notice hairstyles, I notice jewelry, all of these things. And I do this because I really want to hone in on people and make them feel like they're recognized, they're important, and they are important. So that's the second strategy that I use. And then the third is, hey, it's called the 4 T's. We have teeth, so smile at people. We have 2 eyes, so look people in the eyes. We have the sense of touch, so high five people, shake hands, fist bump, whatever it takes. We love the human touch. And then finally, we have time. So spend time with people outside of meetings, outside of the school day. Go watch a track meet. Go watch a tennis tournament, because that's where you will truly get to know somebody, because you can have those informal conversations with people. So if anybody is in the Globe Miami area tonight and listening, come to our informal meeting tonight and help kids sign up for kindergarten, and then go to the ASU We Grad presentation, so that way we can have those networking opportunities, build relationships on an informal level.
Wow.
Those are the 3 things.
That was fantastic.
And I would just like to leave people with that, relationships over anything else.
Well, this was meant to be, Richard. I just finished reading The Noticer by Andy Andrews. And it's all about, seeing these things in people. So we got a connection here for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to share space with you tonight. There's always a reason for everything. At the Rural Schools Conference, it was meant to be. And so I look forward to connecting with you. If you need anything from me, just reach out.
Nice. Well, I'm not gonna let you go yet. I gotta get rapid fire here. You have time before you go to the kindergarten event?
I think we lost each other for a little bit.
Oh, did I lose you? Are you there?
I'm here now.
Okay, good. Well, do you have a 1 more minute so we could do rapid fire?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Richard, these are fast answers to quick questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Last movie you saw?
Oh my goodness, I wouldn't know that because I don't watch movies,
No movies.
at all.
You could take a pass.
Yeah, I'll take a pass.
Last concert you went to?
Janet Jackson, The Residency
Ooh.
in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. The last song you sang out loud in the car?
I'm free falling.
Nice, Tom Petty. I know you eat well. What's your favorite dish?
Spaghetti.
Beautiful. Favorite place to travel other than your house in Colombia?
New York City.
Hey, you hit me up when you come over here.
Absolutely.
What's your team in Arizona, your Arizona sports team?
I would say the Phoenix Mercury. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people, but I'm all about the WNBA. I think the women play so much more passionately.
Nice. How did they do last year in their league?
Well, I believe they went to the playoffs, but they lost in the first round to Minnesota, who were the eventual, I think they were the runner-up. But I want to say this, though, that they have brought 3 championships to Phoenix, and then also that we had the privilege of watching Diana Taurasi for 20 years here.
Wow. She was on that team her whole time?
The whole time from 2020, from 2004 to 2024. So, man, it has been incredible watching her play. And then she brought the championships here. I mean, she is like a goddess.
Wow. Look at that. In 2025, I will fill in the blank.
I will continue to support students to thrive.
In 2025, I will stop.
I will stop with any fixed mindset beliefs.
Nice. You're going back to Dweck. He's putting it in action. If you weren't in the field of education, what field would you be in?
I'd be a performer. Definitely. Singing, dancing, you put me out there. That's what I'm all about. Entertainment.
What's a pet peeve of yours?
Probably grinding teeth.
I got a mouth guard for sure there. One thing that you're curious about?
I'm curious about other people's, the way other people think. I always want to see other perspectives.
Well said there. Well said. Something about Richard Ramos that people do not know about.
I think that just outside the box thinking, I don't think that I could be, I don't think that I could be pegged in any way. I'm always thinking of something different outside the box. And that's always going to be authentic, always going to be innovative.
Awesome. Friends, this is Dr. Richard Ramos, Miami, Arizona. This has been a great podcast, Richard. I really enjoyed it. How about a quote to wrap us up for the show?
So the quote would be, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Bam! And we will end with that. Go sign up those kindergartners. He's signing contracts with kindergartners tonight, as well as serving his community with a college event. So good stuff, Richard. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a great night, okay?
Yeah. Miami is blessed to have you there. And don't hang up. I'm going to say goodbye to you, but we are going to sign off here on the podcast. And this has been great. This is Dr. Richard Ramos from Miami, Arizona. I can't find my cursor, Richard. Here it is. All right. We're going to sign off. Keep surviving and thriving, friends.